Are you intimidated by Admin Francis? Well, for those of you who are aspiring native camp teachers, you most likely have already read about Admin Francis and all the challenging trap questions that he throws at the applicant. So, this video is all about the usual questions that he asks, and don't worry, I got you covered. This is 6 months worth of research based on your rants, comments, and complaints about your demo class. If you're interested, please continue watching. Hey teachers, thank you so much for staying tuned for part two. So as promised, for this video, we're going to be focusing on the Grammar Middle 32 material, which is about, would you mind my closing the windows? So the trap questions here are pretty challenging, and to be honest, compared with the NATO material, this is the book that is a little bit more challenging. And to those of you who have no idea who Admin Francis is, well, he has a reputation for, throwing the most challenging questions at aspiring applicants. For the past 6 months, I've been with Native Camp. All I've been reading about was Admin Francis this, Admin Francis that. And, just like what I've mentioned on part one, Native Camp isn't really asking for perfection just because they want to torture us, but they want us to ace everything, be able to answer the questions really well, and be able to master the materials because here in this company, they do not have training. You won't be having a mentor. You don't have a supervisor. Everything here, you have to study on your own. You have to figure out by yourselves because in native camp, resilience, independence, and being able to work and figuring things out on your own would be a must. So that's the reason why they're very strict when it comes to the demo class. So to those of you who'd like to be a native camp teacher, after watching all of these videos that I've made, please send me an email at askteachakaren@gmail.com. And to those of you who'd like to be my private class students in the future, I'll be resuming work in June. You can send me an email at askteachakaren@gmail.com or add me on WeChat or Line. All the details that you need are on the description box. So, teachers, let's get started. It's okay. Would you mind me closing the windows? This is the more challenging material, Grammar Middle 32. Trap question number one would be, why is the verb on its past tense, ed, or whatever the past tense is, for the sentence pattern, would you mind? So what do you have to remember here, teachers? To explain this, you're going to make it clear that on this context, would you mind, we are talking about the future, something that has not happened yet, but we're still using the past tense, right? So we are talking about a condition in the future, right? It's a condition in the future. That's why we have the conditional if. If. Now, this is called a second conditional. And you could read more about second conditionals to further explain this. We use a second conditional to talk about things that are unreal in the present or the future. It's talking about things that don't or won't happen. And the formula would be would plus the base form of the verb, as in would and mind, right? Mind would be your verb, would be would. And then if is your conditional, and the verb that should come with the word if should be on its simple past tense. That's the formula of the second conditional. So, would you mind if I closed the windows? We are using closed because of the conditional if. And again, we are talking about something that don't or won't happen, right? Would you mind if I close the windows? For Filipinos, let me translate this to our language. Magagalit ka ba? Magagalit ka ba? Kung is if. Kung isasara, kung sinara, this is closed, kung sinara ko ang bintana. Right? Magagalit ka ba kung sinara ko ang bintana? Magagalit ka ba kung nagsinungaling ako? Magagalit ka ba kung kinain ko yung ice cream mo sa ref? As you can see, they are all on its past tense, right? Because we are talking about a conditional. This is like a situation that has not really happened, but we're talking about, the possibility of the situation happening. So what you just have to be able to explain is that it's a second conditional. It has this formula, and because of the conditional if the verb should be on its simple past tense. If we're going to be translating the sentence on its declarative form, non question form, if I close the windows, you would mind, right? If I close the windows, you would mind. And again, we use if together with the verb closed because of the conditional if, it has to be on its simple past tense. Okay? Now, next one is, why do you use past tense for conditionals? Uh, this is a past conditional, which is if, for a situation that happened in the past that actually has not happened yet. So you just use the past tense for conditional simply because of the word if. Okay? And again, because it's a second conditional, because of the word if, in Tagalog, kung, your verb should be on its simple past tense. Now, number three, difference between do you mind me and would you mind my. Well, they're gonna ask, Karen, what's the difference between do you mind me or would you mind me? Would you mind me versus would you mind my, right? So what do you have to explain here? Very easy. Would you mind me or do you mind me focuses on the doer of the action, the person. Would you mind my focuses on the action. That's why would you mind my usually comes before a gerund. Would you mind my? Would would you mind my plus gerund? A gerund would be a verb that functions as a noun because it ends with ing. Let's say, would you mind my closing the windows? Would you mind my closing the windows? Closing would be your gerund. Now, difference between when it comes to would you mind me closing the window? Um, well, it still comes after the, or rather, it comes before a gerund. But then again, the main difference is that the focus is the person doing the action, and would you mind my focuses on the action itself. Okay, so both forms are legitimate and they mean the same thing. And and another explanation here, if you'd like to take it to the next level, is that do you mind me um means to mind doing something, and it also focuses on the person doing the action, and it also focuses on the indirect object, which is a noun or pronoun that receives a direct object. But me, I won't go to this part because I might just be opening a can of worms. So I'll just simply answer focuses on the doer of the action and then focuses on the action. Then would you mind my, again, focuses on the action. To mind something, where a possessive and gerund noun is used and it is a direct object. So a direct object is a noun or pronoun that receives the action of the verb. Again, this is just like nice to know, but you don't really have to explain it. Just focus on this one and this one. And so I'm also not focusing on it. Now, number four, difference of favor and permission. Well, again, I could use Cambridge here to further define what a favor is. So I'd say a favor is approval or support of someone or something you do to help someone, often after being asked to. So, on top of saying that a favor is when the listener, the person you're speaking with, is the doer of the action, I could also say that a favor is this one. And then I would also define what a permission is. Uh, when it comes to a permission, besides the fact that the speaker, me, the person who's speaking, is the doer of the action, I will also put here that if someone is given permission to do something, then they are allowed to do it, right? So the act of allowing someone to do something or allowing something to happen. So I'm also going to put these definitions on the chat box on top of saying that a favor means that the listener, that the person you're speaking with, is the doer of the action. And permission means that the person who is speaking is the doer of the action. Now, number five, what other words can I use in place of stand? In I can't stand the noise, right? I can't stand the noise. So you just have to simply know how to explain this to stand something. Or you could Google it, meaning of can't stand something. So I'm Googling it now as I'm speaking. So to can't stand something or someone means cannot tolerate someone or something due to an aversion or strong sense of dislike. So I'm just going to put this definition again on the chat box. So it says here, what other word can I use in place of stand? It's already here. Tolerate, right? I can't tolerate the noise, right? I can tolerate the noise. Now, in Cambridge, to be trial, not really helpful because it's really more of an idiom. To successfully accept or there we go. We have a definition from Cambridge: to successfully accept or bear something. So if this is another definition, another word that you could use in place of stand would be accept or bear. As you can see, that's how we use our resources. Now, Admin Francis can also ask you questions about when to use do, does, did questions. What do you have to remember, teacher? Do, does are, all of these three are actually auxiliary verbs. It's just that do, does make questions in the present tense. Do you like meat? Do you like to walk? Do you remember your homework? Do you remember? We're talking about now, right? Do you remember doing your homework, right? So the verb must always be on its base form. No s or es. I did not say do you remembers or does he remembers. It's just does he remember, right? It's always on the base form, no s or es. Example is, does she like natto? The correct answer is no, she doesn't like natto. Sometimes they could give you a trap and answer no, she didn't like natto. You would say that this one is incorrect because didn't is pertaining to the past. And since the question starts with a does, this is a question that focuses on the present tense. Therefore, the verb must be doesn't. It also has to be on its present tense. Now, did questions are also auxiliary verbs, but they focus on the past, things that have already happened. And the verb must always be on its base form still. Did she like natto? Did you go to the park? Did you talk to your mom? It's still on its base form, no s or es. You don't say did you talk to your mom? Did you talk to your mom? And so on. So for this past tense question, did she like natto? The answer is no, she didn't like natto, and it's not no, she doesn't like natto. You would have to say that this one is incorrect, doesn't, because doesn't pertains to the present, whereas the question pertains to the past. So they have to be the same format. It has to be did or didn't. Okay, so pretty much that's it for the auxiliary verbs. The last part would be would you mind? Would you mind? What part of speech is would? So if they would ask me like what is would, what part of speech is would, I'll just use Google. Even though I know that it's an auxiliary verb, um, what part of speech is the word would? As you can see, I just searched it real quick, and then I would just copy this question, paste it on the chat box, and explain it to the student. And then if the student asks, what does yes, I would mean? When you answer the question, yes, I would mind, or yes, I would, what does that mean? So when you mind doing something, it means you don't want. You are not granting permission. So when someone minds if you close the window, you are not granting permission because you would mind it. In Tagalog, hindi ka matutuwa kapag sinara ang bintana. But when you were asked, would you mind my closing the window? And you said, no, I wouldn't. It means you are granting permission. You understand, teachers? In Tagalog, oo, pinapayagan kita, okay lang na isara mo ang bintana. You're granting permission because you don't mind. If you mind, that's bad. If you don't mind, then that's good. Okay, so final reminders, teachers, would be make sure you watch part one. Not really part one, but the demo trap questions that I have made a few months back. Again, the links are on the description box. Number two, uh, know how to explain words and phrases. So it's not enough that you know how to read the script, but you have to know their meaning by heart. You have to know how to give further examples. Don't just settle for the examples that have already been provided on the textbook. Let's say, no way. The student may ask, how can I use no way in a sentence? Or what's the purpose of the expression no way? So you have to know how to explain it. Now, what else? Number three, know how to correct answers. When I say correct answers, not to provide the correct answer, but how to provide feedback, how to provide explanation. So just like what I've been doing earlier, when we were talking about, does she like natto? No, she doesn't like natto. You have to know how to explain why no, she didn't like natto is incorrect. Just in case the answer no, she didn't like natto. You have to learn how to explain subject verb agreement as well. Now, number four, the last reminder is know how to explain class instructions. Instructions like this one, the directions. Look at the following pictures and arrange the words to form the correct sentences. So if they're like confused on what to do, you just have to say, do you see the words inside the parentheses? Yeah, you just have to simply arrange them correctly to come up with a response. And then you could actually give them an example by utilizing our best friend, the chat box. There you have it, teachers. So these would be all that I have for now. And don't worry, because I'm still going to check out posts and rants about the demo class. And I'm going to do my best to create more useful content to make sure that when you apply here in Native Camp, you're going to pass on your first take. Always remember, uh, you really have to practice. Practice, 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 because it's just pass or fail here in Native Camp. And if you're interested in passing, all you got to do is send me an email at askteachakaren@gmail.com. I'm going to send you tried and tested tips to pass all on your first take because I've already made tons of videos for the application process, what to expect, how to run the materials, like actual walkthroughs for the natto material and the would you mind me closing the windows material. I have all of those on the description box. All you got to do is watch them, study them, practice. Don't rush yourself because if you rush yourself and you click take demo right away without practicing, trust me, you're going to fail. They're looking for perfection again for a reason. We don't have trainers here in Native Camp. Everything is self study, and they want to make sure that you are the best fit for the job. And again, to those of you who already passed the demo, you're usually going to be given a script for your self introduction video. But you're going to see retake demo when you refresh the page. When you see retake demo, don't panic. Just click retake demo. That'll take you to another admin, and the admin will just simply record your self introduction video because you've already passed. Okie doke. So I do hope to get to see you next time. If you like this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, Teacha Karen, and comment below if you have like thoughts, questions, negative reactions from this video. And I do hope to get to see you on my next video. Please bear with me, teachers. I'm on maternity leave, and I'll do my best to respond to your comments as soon as I can. Be a blessing to the people around you. Bye bye.